Perfect. We'll get that whole razor ran in there.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
All right, Larry, welcome to the new show. I'm really glad you're here. It is that time of year again for Aces and Traces, and we had a conversation over dinner a few weeks back, and you had told me a number of how much the Traces Foundation had given back in sponsorships and support of kids who can't pay their fees to play, and the number was staggering. So I know we kind of start at the beginning normally. I want you to tell me a little bit about that number and what that number does.
So, we started a course in 2020 with the ACE Awards, and we quickly thought, there was more to than just doing the awards, that we need to start a foundation for kids to play sports because it was a big part of our lives. And,
right.
And I gained so much from playing the sports in terms of being a team player that carried on in through, your whole life, basically, through
Absolutely.
going to, getting a job and how you handle yourself. That number, in four short years, is in excess of $100,000. Has already been given back. And you got to figure, when we first started, there wasn't a lot of that were out there. We had
right.
to, we weren't doing heavy advertising for this. First thing we had to do was put some money under our belt even to be able to pull this
right.
off, which a lot of it came out of myself and a few of the other board members at the time, just to get us until we were able to get through the first golf tournament in 2021. We quickly were able to build up some money, and with the support of Findlay and Dot Foods, Southwest Gas, we had some heavy hitters that really got believed in what we were doing. And we were able to build up a good coffer of, a little over $30,000.
Now,
and it was, in less than 2 years' time, we were already putting out more money than what we were bringing in.
So just for the folks who don't know, that $100,000 is doled out in what is typically a lot of small increments for folks who are unable to pay the fees for their kid to participate in sports.
Yeah.
It actually came from a conversation we had many years ago when we found out that kids had to pay to play sports in high school.
Yes.
Because when we played, it was just part of playing, being in high school.
And to be fair, the Crushed has taken that fee away now, but there's still charter schools that we work
right.
with as well, and it's not cheap. And even the schools that like Mojave High and the Crushed programs, we're still able to help those kids in terms of buying cleats, stuff like that is still hard to come by.
There's
Baseball
so much
gloves.
that goes into playing a sport.
Yes,
I mean, there's like a joke on the internet every day about how expensive it is when your kid plays something for free. New tennis shoes, new this, new that, whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't need all that, but most kids need some equipment every year, and it piles up.
Yes,
it gets tough.
it does, and in certain circumstances will. So we've had to cap. I put a cap on it. I say, some of the football programs here cost $350 for a kid to play. I could quickly blow through $35,000, $40,000 in a year if I'm paying that much money. So what we did do is, most of the little leagues and the schools and stuff, the fee was no more than $150. So that's what we've kind of capped with the football programs is $150 what we'll do per kid.
Right.
You talk 15 kids and we're already up over. We're pushing $2,000 to one organization.
You don't want anybody getting too greedy with them player fees either because, let's be honest, all those leagues are competing unintentionally for kids and participation and things like that too because if there's another organization that is doing it for less and doing it better, then it keeps people honest. And I don't want to pick on anybody. I don't have anyone in mind particular, but some of these travel ball teams are very expensive.
Yes, and that's a conversation we've had as well. So sometimes you've got to, and first of all of them have to be a 501c3 before we will do business with them. Right. We don't hand the money to the parents. The money goes directly to the treasurers of the organizations, and for us, they have to be a 501c3. What that has done is it's pushed a few of them to get that done.
Oh,
because I haven't. They've requested money. I says not until you're a 501c3. So that has helped there tremendously. Some of the organizations are much better at it than others with this, to the point where I've allowed them to, because we asked all parents that we sponsor the kids to help with those organizations by donating their time. Some organizations have gotten much better at it than others because they're short on coaches, they're short on people to work, as in their vending or anything like that. Boys and Girls Club for one, They actually vet all of the kids for us, have their own form to fill out, And right there and there, they have the parent fill out what they're going to do for the Boys and Girls Club. And
Now, you had mentioned there's a form, and I know you were telling me earlier you have actually streamlined the process, it's made it a little bit easier. Where do they find? Do they get this information from the league? Say you want to go play Little League. Little League says, "Hey, we completely understand this fee. Have you looked into this organization here?" Or do people find you on the website? What?
Yes, so we do have a website, tristatetraces.com, that you can go to. That's where all of the requests have to come through. I can tell you all of the organizations here locally know where our website is and what we can do for kids. Right. Our vetting process, while it's probably not the best way, it's what we are able to do and continue functioning. And it basically it's on a, if the organization knows there's a need, you can see a family that's in need. You go on the site, you put in an application, who you are, who's it for, why do you need these funds? We ask them to send their grades of the kid, if applicable, because school is important to us, and making sure that's the first thing. And the second part of it is, we'd like them to write a short paragraph on why sports are important to them. We don't not sponsor a kid because his grades are bad, but that will be a follow-up call from me personally, typically, to the kid to say, listen, we're willing to sponsor you, but you got to hold up your part of the bargain.
And we talked a little bit too about, this goes back years. Larry and I have been having these conversations for many, many, many years now.
Started in a parking lot.
Started in a parking lot of Safeway a long time ago, and led to a lot of these things. But getting kids into those systems and structures because we think they will help the kid. A lot of single parents, families without extended family in the area, and if they can get into a place where they get good mentorship, coaching, and interest, some other things that support them going forward, we believe that would have a net positive gain across all aspects of their life.
No, that's what, you and I talking, that's what we've learned. We learned through sports. I mean, I travel, I'm an Army brat, and I made contact with and made friends immediately through sports. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't play baseball, basketball, football, because you walk into a place, you're a new kid, but you're immediately on a team with 9 or 10, 12 other kids, you know what I mean, or 40 kids even, and immediately that's where you draw your friendships from. To walk in and not have that, I don't know. And what we learn from sports is something that carries on as an adult, obviously, for when you go to get a job. Are you a team player? Do you know how to work within what's required of you? You don't have to do the whole picture, but your job description may require you to do this, but it's a part of a team. If you don't learn the team concept, you never get that out there. It's already too late when you go into
Any one of these guys that have been here working with me for any period of time will tell you 90% of my coaching and or analogies comes from a sports reference.
Sure.
And we hired a guy over here, hope you not listen, in the other room. He played offensive line in college. And so to me, he's the easiest one to relate to because I immediately talk football. And he's like, oh, all right, I get it. I got this. I got whatever. And but a lot of times one of the most valuable things is being able to be in an imperfect situation and still work towards achieving a goal. Because that's the reality of most things. We want things to be perfect and clean and everything else, but the reality of most business or even social situations is not that.
Adversity.
Right.
I mean, learning to deal with adversity and failure in sports will help translate as an adult because everything you do in life, there's failure with it. And if you don't handle the failure, you won't progress. I mean, I dealt with a lot of heartbreaking losses where, I was the main person in that for that team, and it was my bad pitch or my fumble that cost a game. And to deal with that, be able to come back the next day or the next week and perform and be this much higher again. You know what I mean? That's,
I had
that
noticed,
can't be taught. That's hard. That's hard to
I don't
teach.
know if you follow the national sports world as much as I do. I try not to because it gets super annoying, but especially on the week of the Super Bowl here, right?
Sure. Right.
We won't get into all that. But there had been a trend over the last couple of years of teams behaving badly after losses. I don't know if you had noticed. Punches thrown in handshake lines, teams not shaking hands.
I'm seeing this at the middle school level. It drives me crazy. And one of the things that you should be able to learn is to fail with your head up and go shake their hand. You can think whatever you think, but you've got to swallow your pride for a moment
and go shake hands, tell that person who just beat you, hey, good job. And then you go back to the drawing board and figure out how to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah,
and we're losing a lot of that. Now you just don't play anymore. You go to a different league. You go do whatever.
Well, that's what traces what our thought was and our thought process is. Because I'll tell you, it was a major undertaking, and it still is. It's getting tougher and tougher. We've had to automate because of the number of sponsorships. I can give you a quick number. Since January 1st, I've had 85 sponsorships requests come through.
Wow.
That's enormous. Anywhere from $80, $60 to $150. More than that, but our cap's $150. So you can see the money that's starting to get generated and the need. I mean,
is that primarily coming from Little Leagues ramping up, things like that?
Yeah, say YSO's ramping up. They come in spurts for whichever organizations. The charter schools. It's on a quarterly basis with them typically. But yeah, AYSO's big organization. Mojave Little League, Boyd City League. Needles, same way. So we in our bylaws, it's Needles to Laughlin. So it is the tri-state area. What I love to see it's a point to where nobody has to play or pay to play.
Right.
I would love that, but we're not there yet by no means. I mean, there are a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids that we've been doing for 4 years. Every year they're coming back, and the parents are still asking, for help, and we're assisting them. I'm starting to see some of those kids actually be in our ACE awards, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool.
We don't bring that up at that because we don't want to jeopardize a parent or the kid and saying, oh yeah, we've sponsored them for the last 4 years, because it puts them in a class that maybe financially are not as well off as some others. So it's not something we'll pass with, but I have seen
we don't want to highlight that. However, that is probably what we want to see the most. Because that's a kid who did not have all the advantages. That's a kid who...
That's why we're doing it.
Right. Yeah, that is exactly what we want to see. So internally, that's what it's all about.
So goosebumps. Just hair standing up on, because that's what we're trying to achieve. You know what I mean? Reading some of the stories that when I ask, why are you needing these funds, is heartbreaking.
Right.
Heartbreaking. I mean, I read them every night. I get 3, 4, 8, 10... And I read them all, and some of them stories are way, way over the top of what people are having to deal with, and they're wanting to get their kid involved in sports. And it's like, oh, I'll do more than what I'm saying. I'm going to take care of your cleats. I'm going to take care of your shoe, socks, whatever else I can help with. We're willing to help you with they're being indigent completely. 4 kids wanting to try to get them in sports. We're going to be there for them. And it feels good. It's what keeps me going, because
I know I've told you this, but I will tell those who don't, is this was an eye-opener for me when I started coaching youth football 10 plus years ago, that I would have kids who would come to practice, do everything in tennis shoes, no cleats, and then they wouldn't play because they didn't have the money for the fees. And more often than not, parents would come together, coaches come together, and we would make sure these kids could participate. Those same kids sometimes didn't get picked up. Those same kids sometimes couldn't eat on game days. And it really opened my eyes to the hardships people were experiencing. And I didn't want to see those kids lost, couldn't participate, and out in the world and not knowing what happened.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head of what we're trying to accomplish. No kid left behind. Lifelong lessons. Everything I do, I'm in management. I've been in management for 25 years now. And everything I do correlates back to what I've learned in sports and how to handle people, deal with people on a day-to-day basis, tough situations, failure. I mean, you have a really bad day at work. If I show it goes all the way across the board with the management team.
It does.
I mean, I have to. Sometimes
not my best feature.
Nor mine.
Wear it on my face.
Yes, well, it's on my sleeves, big time. So I mean, it is what it is, and I take it home as well. And it's like I have to be lifted by my own kids sometimes, or my significant other. Do amazing jobs of, I have to come home and it's like had a tough day and I want to jump in and do this, and I've got 15 emails to answer, and it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? But you push through it, and as I said, we're getting better at it now with automation and stuff like that. That it's not such a burden.
I want to thank you because in that same dinner, I didn't realize how much you had taken on. We had started this thing a long time ago in a parking lot, and a lot of people have come and gone and helped us over the years. and including your board. I know that your board has been a challenge, not in terms of having good people, but being able to keep them around for a long period of time. It's very time consuming. And you've really, as the leader of that, done a great job seeing it through and getting it to where it is. And I'm very appreciative because I had no idea it had grown to the size it had. When you told me that you had done 85 or whatever in the first few weeks of the year, I couldn't remember what the number was at the time. It blew me away. And I was, on one hand, immediately super proud that it had done what we intended, but on the other hand, I had no idea that it was such a, I don't want to say burden because I know it's not what you mean, but
it's tough. Burden maybe isn't the word. It's a lot of work, and if it's not shared, which I have a very good board. I've had four of us have been since the beginning, and I couldn't be more appreciative of the work that they put in. And I have people that are outside of the board that help. Paul Bull's been amazing for us. You know what I mean? Nancy Manjo made sure that we got everything we needed to do right when we became a 501c3. So there's so many people to say thank you to, including all of our sponsors. Findlay has been amazing with us. Anderson Ford has. Dot Food, Southwest Gas. These are all the ones that have been there from the beginning, and it's important. And I just spoke with Dot last week. And I told them how important what we're doing is now has become even more so important because we've hit that threshold of more money going out than we're bringing in. Thankfully we were so successful early, but to continue that momentum and have, I asked them, I said, we need committee members for the golf tournament. We need committee members for the ACE Awards. Get involved with it, and it's the ACE Awards is a 4-day ordeal, to go through the interview process.
That's a whole nother ball of wax. And I'd like you to tie it all in. I don't know how much time you have. I know that I don't want you to be late and then
for my own interviews. Yeah.
But I do want you to tell me what you got going on, because I think that everyone, when they hear about what this does and how it's affected kids, supports it.
Yeah.
And whether it's, I always say, sometimes it's as little as sharing a video, sometimes it's writing a check, sometimes it's just showing up.
Yeah.
And it's golf time again.
Yeah. So our golf tournament is April 5th. We run a Calcutta as well. I'm not going to get into what a Calcutta is. It brings a lot more money in.
If you're a golfer,
Yeah. Yeah. So the 4th and 5th of April is our golf tournament. We need title sponsors still currently. We're looking for primary sponsors. All of that needs to be buttoned up by February 14th because obviously we want to be able to get the flyers out with all of the sponsors on it, stuff like that. The tee we need tee sponsors that are as little as $100. If you can donate $100 for a tee, those are big.
Essentially, you're sponsoring a kid directly.
That's one kid.
Yeah. You just sponsored one kid. You do a tee sponsor, you just sponsored a kid.
So we shoot for like 75 for the golf tournament. I've already done 85 kids in January.
Yeah.
So you can see how quickly this can turn to where we're
very quickly
struggling to get it. But we have, we are looking for. You can reach out to me directly. I'm willing to give my phone number to it. It's 928-542-7330. You can email me at larrykendrick@frontiernet.net. Either one of those two things will get direct contact to me. I will get you the information over to you. You can fill out the form and make sure we get it done right. But February 14th is the deadline on big sponsors. We'll take T sponsors right up to a week away from the tournament.
Yeah. So I actually brought a Findlay. Is that your interview canceling?
No, that's that's my kid calling me actually saying, "Come get me from school." But yeah,
he'll be there. That's a good school. He'll be
there in a minute.
So I actually brought my Findlay Athlete of the Week shirt. I meant to change it before we got on here. But tell me real quick how Athlete of the Week, Aces, Traces, all kind of tie into one vision, one intent.
Yeah, it was, we wanted to start, first of all, anyone that's here locally knows about the CAA Awards. You and I in a parking lot said, man, wouldn't it be nice to do that for some youth in this community?
Yeah.
And said, instead of just talking about it, I said, well, let's make it happen. Started it with the ACE Awards. At the time, of course, I was at the newspaper. You were at Findlay, and we started the Athlete of the Week. And it said, let's do something big. You know what I mean? So we scheduled something that we wanted to be awesome with Crystal Awards and athlete, scholar athlete leadership.
Event. No shortcuts. No.
Yeah. And it was during COVID. You know, so it was tough.
Limited on seats. Weren't sure if we could have it.
Yeah, and
took a leap.
Filled it. Filled 250 people. So it was pretty cool. Right after that, of course, is when we worked on the nonprofit portion of it. So we're 6th year of the ACE Awards. fifth year as a nonprofit.
Wow.
And like I said, we in excess of $100,000 been put out. We're probably gonna hit 50,000 this year alone, from what I'm seeing already. The ACE Awards is May 20th. It's going to be held at the Avi in their banquet room, gorgeous room.
Yeah.
Went there last year with it. It was went off very well. 300 people at that event, so it can hold a little bit more. So excited about that. We need sponsors for that as well.
I'd like to say it's a great trial run for a lot of other things kids will experience in life too. You go to a formal dinner, you may speak, you're around your peers. You get to go. We have a nice dinner. We've always had great food,
Prime
great
rib,
atmosphere.
yeah.
We broadcast it live. We really do have a nice, a nice trophy and everyone gets a recognition for being nominated.
Sure.
Now the kids that are nominated are the finalists of all the nominations from the school. So they're the best in some regard at their school, recommended by an admin or teacher or coach.
To start with.
And then we narrow it down to 3, which is really the
That is
absolute toughest
That's the
part.
tough part, is getting to the final 3. I mean, you got a committee of 6 or 7 of us, and that meeting could get heated,
Yeah.
because there's so many kids that you can pick. I mean, how do you get 3? And then from there, from that 3, how do you get down to 1?
Right.
You change your own mind.
Yeah.
In the middle of these things, so we're looking for committee members on that as well. I've got about 4 right now that are committed. I'd really like to have 3 or 4 more. Anybody that sponsors one of the awards would love to have somebody from their organization to be a part of it. But you don't have to be. If you just want to donate your time to us, we would love that.
And I will say, you won't regret it. It will add to your day. You will have some stress from time, but when you sit and listen to these kids speak and what they do, what they've been through, what their dreams are, you don't regret it.
Yeah, you will laugh and you will cry in those 4 days, I guarantee you.
Especially if the girls start crying and everybody starts crying.
Yeah, I know. I blame it on them, but I'm just hoping one will cry so I can kind of let loose myself.
Justify it a little bit.
Justify my own tear that you might drop. Get choked up. I talk about traces. You will see me get choked up.
Yeah.
Just for all the things that I've learned right now. Just saying what I see and what we're able to accomplish.
Well, everyone in this room knows that I'm a grumpy guy sometimes, and I have my highs and lows. But my soft spot is and always has been kids. Kids are, they're the best of us. Yeah. They deserve a shot.
It's like my kid is very fortunate. And I have to tell him that all the time. But he sees what we're doing here too, and some of his friends he plays with, we're sponsoring them. He knows, so he's getting humbled for it. I said, you better be, because you're going to be president of this at some point. I'm going to make you take on that task, so you better figure it out. But yeah, there's it. I know we're doing well, and I know we're doing something for this community that I hope that will last well past my time. That's the objective.
And a lot of what came from was our personal experience, but also our personal experience with our kids and where they were at and their peers and who they were around. And like I said, I know it's a passion project for us both. And I hope we can get the word out and we get more people on board and support this thing, man. Yeah. And I can't say enough, I appreciate you, man. We started a lot of wild projects back when you were at the paper and I was starting out here. And, this is one that really means a lot to me, and I hope does have an impact on the community.
Yeah, we're fortunate that what we are doing, it hits at home everywhere. So, like I said, I went up to Dot Foods the other day. They've got kids that they know we're sponsoring, that are their family members that work there. It's impacting everywhere we go. Every restaurant you go to, every business that you go to, their kid is getting sponsored somehow through us. So
we'll give a little inside baseball here, and I'm sure you've experienced at some level, but I get some frustration sometimes. Poor Jeff has to hear it. I'll be venting about, I got to get here and do this. I got to get to that. I got to do this. And then sometimes you get some haters out there, whatever. But every once in a while, I'll never forget walking into one of the ACES Awards, and one of the parents or grandparents came up and all but hugged me, and I'm not a hugger.
Yeah.
And told me how much they appreciated their athlete of the week and that everyone knew how great their person was.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I've had
refuels
I run
the
into
tank.
Coaches 2 years later after we've sponsored 4 or 5 of the kids for their organization, and they start crying.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me cry. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't know what you've done for these 4 kids, you know, and it's like, yeah, I do. Not here. I'm in public. I'm picking up my
Yeah.
kid, you know, but I see it every day now.
Yep.
And that's the part keeps me going, keeps me pushing. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you bringing me in here like this. Give me an opportunity to talk about chasing.
Well, like I said, man, I really appreciate you personally. As a coach, parent, everything else, I appreciate the group, the organization, all that. If anyone get out there and sponsor, support, like I said, if you can do a tea sponsor for $100, it's basically like sponsoring a kid directly.
Well, if I go to your business, I won't walk out without at least $100 bill.
I'm aware.
So that's how I do it.
I'm aware. I'm like, marketing budget, Traces. All right, here we go.
Yours might be a little bigger than that one when I come see you, but
absolutely.
yeah.
Not surprised.
You know, and that's what I tell everybody that's on these committees. I go, nobody's going to tell you no on $100. You know,
Right.
we talk about the big fish. Problem is, there's so many good organizations around here and nonprofits that there's only so much to go around. I just feel like we're fortunate enough at Traces that we are helping one kid at a time.
Yeah.
And that means something to this community, and so.
And it kind of goes full, like I said, I hope that for every kid like yours who has the home life, the support, and everything they need, much like mine, that this reaches a kid who didn't have it and wouldn't have had it otherwise,
absolutely.
but got into the things that they needed to get them through life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my wishful thinking, I suppose. That's my.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
That's what I tell myself at night.
I have to tell myself a lot of things at night to actually get things
you
done.
and me both, man.
Yeah.
I'm not that old. I'm better looking than I am.
Yeah. This wasn't always this color.
No,
yeah.
listen, I just trimmed mine, but the gray is getting out of control.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but turn 61. Tell me how.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it, man. I don't want to talk about it. But Larry, I know you got stuff to do, man. I really appreciate you. It's always good to see you, but everything we can do, we'll get some clips out to you and promote this thing.
I believe I sent this to you. Just put it on your guys' Facebook pages,
put it on
websites.
comments.
You know, don't be afraid to call. You know,
Yeah.
I answer the phone. You know, it's a business phone. I answer it nonstop.
Yeah,
So.
I tell you, everyone I've talked to who has heard about it is very supportive. We just got to get out in front of more people, and I think the support will come in. So
Awesome.
awesome, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Later.